Welcome back, Shapeshifters, to another exciting episode of Shapeshift Your Life podcast. We are just moving and grooving as we are celebrating the season of fall. We are in immense change right now on the planet. Probably the greatest transformation that humanity has ever known in this way. We have never had a human population that has had this level of intimacy with technology. And as I said in prior episodes, I really feel like all the transformation that we are undergoing right now is the last stand of whiteness. It is them putting up their largest front possible, because the reality is that their empire has fallen. It is dying, and it can be extremely scary when we are living in times of transition, times of transformation. The revolution requires chaos. And I know a lot of folks are really struggling right now, trying to figure out how can they play a role? How can they contribute? How do they bring their gifts to the world? Because part of the dominant paradigm, part of that program is making everyone feel powerless. Folks think that their voice doesn't matter, that their contributions don't matter. And so everything can just become so overwhelming. I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to over the last month, and they just feel like hopelessness. And I really feel invigorated by this time, not because I don't see the pain and suffering that's going on in the world, but because I recognize that this is part of a grander cycle. And as someone of African descent, recognizing that we have always been the canaries in the coal mine. We have warned you against the government. We have warned you against the pharmaceutical and the medical industrial complex. We have warned you against the police. We have been, in many ways, the lab rats of many of this experimentation that has been going on for quite some time. And I think that what is unique is that now it's facing everyone's door. No one is immune from this fascist regime. And so today I wanted to give you a new approach, a new framework to think about what it is that is happening right now, and specifically how everyone's contributions can play a role. As you've heard me say many times, we come from heaven, but earth is the marketplace. Earth is the place where we bring our gifts to the world, to barter, to trade, to be with strangers, to be with foreigners from new lands, to come together in this central market, not just the market of our career, but the market of the arc of our life in our own hero's journey, where the purpose, again, is for you to fulfill your destiny. Part of the imprint of white psychosis is to constantly focus us on the external, focus us on what can be seen, focus us on what can be touched, focus us on the external realm. When we pick up our phones in the beginning of a day, right, we're focused on what we can see with our own two eyes. But ancient cultures knew that the real power was in the internal, that some cultures even believed that it was the dream state that had more power than when we're in our awakened state, that everything from within is also come from without. That's also a universal law. When we think about a seed, and I just always use nature because it's just a very clear teacher, we know that that seed has to be buried in the darkness. Creation starts in pitch black, and the womb is pitch black. So until we are willing and ready to go into that place that we cannot see, and part of what we can't see awakens other senses in our body, in our energetic field. Many of you may be familiar with research of darkness retreats, where folks literally go in for 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days of absolute and complete darkness. And they have it situated where food and everything is brought to them. And what the darkness does is, one, it anti-ages you. You go into a de-aging process. It stimulates all of your other senses. So now your sense of hearing, your sense of taste, your sense of smell, your intuition is rising up, because you're not just focused on the external, because that sense has literally been subdued. And actually, with your eyes open in the darkness, you start seeing other things, other energetic fields that you normally can't pay attention to. And people go through that process and come out of it brand new, and they rave about it. Darkness is going to calm your parasympathetic nervous system, and it's going to mimic the womb energy, the womb, which we know is regenerative of all life. So our brains are wired in a way where humans have never in the history of being human seen so many different contexts. What is a context? Every time you turn on social media and you're scrolling through the feed, you are seeing a puppy. If you're on my algorithm, you're seeing cats. You're seeing information about the new moon. You're seeing the news, the latest conspiracy theory. You're seeing your friend's wedding, kid's birthday, right? Your brain is having to process all of those different contexts in real time. And your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what you are actually experiencing in real life and what you're experiencing just through your eyes. And the dopamine hit that you get when you're watching all of these contexts is giving us all of this stimulation that we're just not used to having. And it can contribute to immense fatigue, but it also programs you out of the darkness. It programs you out of being able to open up your third eye. It programs you out of being able to stimulate your other senses. And it locks you into their spell, which constantly has you focused on the external. The algorithm is designed to focus us on gossip, celebrities, fights, and othering, whether it's othering in war and catastrophes, whether it's a natural catastrophe, a new mass shooting. That is what the algorithm prioritizes. It preferences the external. It does not prioritize good news. It does not prioritize love. It does not prioritize understanding. I would argue that it does not even prioritize healthy images of Black people. So by deprogramming ourselves, by stepping into this level of darkness, by pulling out from the feed and by understanding our purpose, and I'm going to go through these archetypes, then we have an opportunity to claim our power, to cut the cord from systems of white psychosis, systems of patriarchy, systems of colonization, to reclaim our ancestral gifts, to reclaim our own power, to understand that we come from a lineage and that lineage has overcome time and time and time again to be able to go to therapy, to be able to heal your bloodline, to be able to understand how to eat right, to be able to understand how to maintain your physical temple and your physical body, to be able to have eyes to see the spell and not get caught up in it. Some ancestor in your lineage prayed for that. And so as cycle breakers, we have to understand our power. That is part of the reason why in the last few readings of the year through Ifa, one of the most powerful spirits that we need to maintain is our Ori, is to maintain our mind. Because once they get your mind, they've got you. That's why colonization was not just about the gun. It was also about the Bible. It was stripping you of your native tongue, stripping you of your native language, stripping you of your name. That strips us of who we are. So it's easy to flood us with programs of who we are and who we aren't. And so this spiritual war that we are going through is not just going to be waged on the battlefield. It's a battle of the mind. Many of you may or may not be familiar with the company Palantir. The company Palantir, I highly recommend that you go and research that company. The founder of that company comes from the PayPal mafia being a bunch of white men who are big time billionaires and oligarchs. It is basically one of the largest surveillance systems of our time. It is literally being used to create genocide right now in Gaza, all over the planet. And it is literally being tested so that it can be used upon us. But the surveillance But the T with that surveillance is not just about the fact that they want to digital ID us, Neuralink us all into one world system, give us the mark of the beast and control our mind and our hearts. It's also about the fact that they've recognized through study that, hey, we don't want to just go out and kill a bunch of people anymore, even though you literally are seeing that happen in Gaza, that it's a lot more cost efficient and it's a lot more palatable to the mind to just control people through the digital ID, to say, you know what? You don't want to go outside. It's too much going on. It's too much war. It's too much violence. Be afraid. Stay in your home. Focus on social media. Focus on video games. Focus on parasocial relationships where you're no longer tapped into people anymore. Focus on the external realm and your internal realms. Every time we take a breath, every time we make a choice, every time we make a positive choice that's furthering our purpose, we are recreating the new earth in the future, in the present moment as we heal the past. So let's get into these archetypes, shall we? I want to pay homage to adaptive leadership theory. I want to pay homage to systems change and regenerative practice. I want to pay homage to Black feminist and Afrofuturist imagination because these are where these archetypes come from. And I want to give a special shout out to my homie Conda Mason from Jubilee Justice. We were just vibing and Conda brought this framework to me. So I don't want to act like this is my own intellectual property. I always give credit where credit is due. When we talk about archetypes, when we talk about avatars, it doesn't mean that you are only one thing because we know that we are holistic, that we are made up of many different things. Some of you who are into astrology know that it's not just your sun sign. It is your ascendant. It is your moon. So I don't want people to walk away from this and think I only can be one thing. There's over 7 billion people of the planet. And every single one of us has a different fingerprint. That fingerprint is unique. Even twins that are birthed in the same wombs have that uniqueness. That uniqueness is part of our power, part of our gifts, part of our special sauce. And I feel really strongly that what we should be doing as parents and as educators and anyone that's in a community with young people, we should be supporting the uniqueness of our children rather than trying to railroad them into this linear idea of what they're supposed to be in the world. This is where observation comes in. This is where our ancestors who wrote on the archways of entrances into tombs in the Grand Pyramid said, know thyself. If you don't know anything else, people know history, people know what their job is about, people can rattle off the news, people know the new headline, but the true power is knowing who you are, knowing the unique gifts that you have come to bring. So part of this archetypes is saying, how can I contribute? So one of the first archetypes that we're going to get in is our resistors. These are our rebels, our foot soldiers. These are the folks with boots on the ground, the folks that fought, who said, I will go. The courageous ones who stand toe to toe with the face of the enemy. These are the people who are holding down the front line. In modern day society, we may think of these folks who are the ones who are protesting, who are the ones that during these ICE raids are literally putting their bodies on the line. These are the guard of the values and culture and the wisdom that they feel like the fascism is trying to erase. These are our resistors. Shout out to all of my resistors. We need this. We need to show a show of force. It's important that as we are watching this fascist regime attempt to obliterate the truth tellers, the truth seekers, the culture bearers, it is imperative that people are visibly present saying, hell no. We're not going to go for this. I come from a city of Oakland, California, where we are a town of resistance. We are a town of the Black Panther Party. But I also spend my time in Mexico City, and this is a very resistant city as well. There is constant protest. There is constant resistance to the status quo. People who are saying, no, we're not just going to fall in line. We think that there is inequality and we're willing to push. Resistance is tension. Tension is what diamonds are made of. Tension is what allows the sea to burst open. Tension is what is required when a woman is giving labor. Tension is required for newness. The next archetype I want to share with you are our reformers. If you are familiar with the book Spook Who Sat by the Door, I highly recommend that you go out and check it out. But it was a Cliff Notes version. It was about a brother who went to work, I think for like the FBI, CIA, military. It was some like bureaucratic agency. He was one of the first Black people to be hired by this agency. Essentially, he learned everything that he could learn. And then he launched essentially a coup against the agency and used all of their secrets and all of their intelligence against them. These are the folks that are like, no, I want to run for city council. I want to be on the school board. I want to run for mayor. I want to be in Congress. Sometimes the reformers can be the nurses, teachers, educators, lawyers, the people who say, yes, I understand that the status quo is bad. And I believe that learning everything there is to know about these systems and being the voice of reason, speaking for the people, bringing the voices into rooms where our voices would not be. If these people were not there, then there would be no opposition. Another example of this is the Green Party. Many of the reforms of the Democratic Party have come directly from the Green Party. Education, healthcare, gender equality. There were folks that came from the resistance movement saying, we're going to create our own political party. We're going to push the envelope. And a lot of people say, well, you're wasting your vote. Why would you want to vote for the Green Party? Because it's sending a message. It's counting that there is another possibility. It's saying that we can think beyond the binary, that it doesn't just have to be Democrat or Republican. And as a result, the Democratic Party has adopted many of these viewpoints. So that's an example of how being a reformer can actually infiltrate into the highest levels of the political system. So shout out to our reformers. Then we have our recreators. This is Phoenix energy bursting through the flames. It is being reborn. These are people who are against the status quo, right? These are people who are saying we need a radical rebirth, that everything associated with the status quo, with the way of doing things, needs to be dismantled. We need to rethink everything. We need to rethink our definition of wealth. There is no equitable wealth. So the next time that you're on Amazon and you're saying, wow, this is really cheap, it's only cheap because they got it off somebody else's labor or they just took the resources. Every single one of our computer devices, half of the technology that we're using right now is excavated and mined by children in Democratic Republic of Congo and their children. Full stop. They're not getting paid. They are basically modern day slaves. While Apple and Microsoft and all of these other companies make billions and billions and billions of dollars, it starts with that child living in poverty, risking their life in order for this to happen. There is no equitable capitalism. Why am I saying all of this to you? So I'm saying our recreators are the ones that saying, but wait a minute. We get to redefine what wealth means. We can say that wealth is cooperative. We could say that wealth is collective. We could say that wealth is mind, body, and spirit. That if you're not rich in spirit and you're not rich in health and you're not rich in family and rich in relationships, right? That it's not just about your bank account. If you've had the opportunity to travel abroad, and you see people who maybe are living in what we would consider poor conditions, but they've got land that they collectively own. They've got food growing all around them. They never have to want for food. They have a community that keeps them accountable, that keeps them intact. They have a village where children are being raised to know who they are. They have a spiritual system that's based on their ancestors. They have their own native tongue. They have their own native traditions and rituals. That is wealth to me. They're not just living on pharmaceutical drugs to keep them alive, that they have natural remedies and ways of living that they have maintained for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? That can become a new definition of what wealth is. So that's what our recreators are doing. They're recreating ideas of business, family. There's so many different formations of community. And I feel very, very strongly that part of the chaos that's going on the planet is going to force a recreation. We're going back to the time where people are going back to live with their families. People are not just living isolated. In many cultures, the idea that you turn 18 and you have to go out and fend for yourself is actually not the way the majority of the planet lives. It's actually the opposite. We live as a compound. We share resources, right? We practice cooperative economics. This is part of our indigenous wealth. And the more that we can't afford to pay $3,000 for our own single apartment is going to force us back with families. So that's what the recreators are doing. They're saying we get to recreate life as we know it. Have the opportunity to be a steward of a cooperative called Black Space Cooperative. We're recreating the way that businesses and Black-led organizations in Oakland come together and share resources and practice mutual aid and storytelling, right? We're recreating. So those are our recreators. Shout out to the recreators. I definitely feel like I was a resistor. I think I grew up thinking I wanted to be a reformer, and I learned real quick that wasn't for me. And then I became a resistor, and I definitely feel like right now I'm solidly in my recreation stage of my life. So these things can shift. It doesn't have to be stagnant. We can be mutable. We can shape shift through these different archetypes as needed. And lastly, our reimaginers, our future weavers, the people who were talking about flying cars 30 years ago. The reimaginers are doing things that are ludicrous, like self-driving cars, right? 30 years ago, if someone would have told you self-driving cars, you would have been like, I don't even have a context to imagine. Our reimaginers are envisioning what does not even exist yet. They are bridging spirit, imagination, innovation. I feel very strongly that not all, but some of our reimaginers are our young people. When we tell them about the status quo, they're coming up with ideas, and it's so far beyond what we can even conceive of. The reimaginers tend to get shitted on. I'm gonna be real, because a lot of people are so steeped in what they know, steeped in what they can see in the external realm, but the reimaginers are all internal. The reimaginers are reimagining things that we have no physical proof of. There's nothing we can see. The reimaginers have the power of imagination, and imagination is a currency. You dedicate your practice to architecting new ideas. These are our futurists. These are our visionaries. These are our dreamers. They are essential because some people are so focused on what we need to dismantle that they haven't actually thought about what we're going to create. I get that you're done with white psychosis and patriarchy, but what is going to be in its place? What does that actually look like? These are our reimaginers. Shout out to the reimaginers, right? So when I think about our resistors, our reformers, our recreators, our reimaginers, I have to think about the Haitian Revolution. Because the Haitian Revolution being the first Black republic on the Western Hemisphere, the Haitian Revolution being a culmination of the native Taino people mixed with mulattoes that were living in Haiti, which was Saint-Domingue at the time. Our brothers and sisters from different tribes of West Africa, our Congolese brothers coming with our brothers and sisters from Guinea, coming together with our brothers and sisters from the Yoruba, and all of these different people who spoke different languages, different practices, who worshiped different gods, who had different ways of thinking, but they all were able to heed the call of the drums and gather together and bring all of their collective wisdoms together. You have to remember, at the time, it was one of the most powerful colonies in the world. And what can we say about America, right? One of the most powerful colonies in the world. It was inconceivable that these people were going to be able to come together to throw off Spain and France and Britain. Because let's be clear, they had to at different times fight all of these different folks that were coming in. But you couldn't see that spirituality, that power of prayer, that power of wisdom, that power of ancestors. Everything that they were bringing to the battlefield was invisible. It was internalized in their own DNA, in the blood and bone of who they were. It didn't happen overnight. It took sacrifice. A lot of blood was shed. Everybody didn't make it. And yet they stood, and they still stand as the very first Black republic on the Western Hemisphere, and then went out to train and share resources. That was what was so scary about the Haitian Revolution. It wasn't just the fact that Haiti got free. It was that then they were like, oh yeah, we're about to free everybody now. And that is why Haiti stands in this position that it stands in right now. Aye bobo to all my Haitian brothers and sisters, because that memory of what they were able to achieve and what that mentally does to your mindset, they want you to think you're powerless. They want you to stay locked into the program so that you stay under the spell. Because as soon as you wake up, nobody can take that away from you. So the revolution required reformers. There were abolitionists who were working in France, who were pressuring France to end chattel slavery. There were resistors, freedom fighters on the front lines. There were recreators. There were reimaginers. All of them played a part. And that's what we have to recognize right now. But what we do is we shame each other. Well, if you're not on the front line, you need to be on the front line. We shame our reimaginers. Why are you wasting your time building something that I don't even know? It's a pipe dream. We shame our reformers. How dare you go work in the system? We shame our recreators. Why are you so against the status quo? This is the way that we've been doing everything. When we don't recognize that every single one of us has that unique fingerprint. So the invitation is to get clear through your own internal observation on what is my gift? What is my contribution? What is my medicine that I'm putting into the fire? Knowing that all of our contributions get stirred up in that pot, and that pot becomes the recipe for our own mental and spiritual liberation. So if you're looking at what you can do, the only place that you need to look is within yourself. The news isn't going to tell you that. Your friend can't tell you that. Your family member can't tell you that. Only you know who you are, which is why our ancestors said to know thyself. And the reality is many people just don't know who the fuck they are, because knowing who you are requires silence, first and foremost, stillness, to be able to hear the divine voice, to be able to hear your ancestors calling you, to be able to give them, pay homage, and just sit in the stillness and say, I surrender, to know that all of our power and all of our spiritual inheritance. Many of us are in families. Let me talk an I statement, that maybe our families are not able to pass down all this financial wealth, but they taught me how to pray. They taught me how to honor my ancestors. They taught me that I could be any one thing that I wanted in life. They taught me to be confident. They taught me to speak truth to power. You see how you can't see any of those things? So I might not be able to have all these assets. It's not necessarily all this money in the bank. See, that's what the dominant program, they want to hoard resources. As if one person, I think I was just reading that Elon Musk is the most wealthiest man in the world. He has $400 billion. Look at Bill Gates, and they want to talk about this is how we can save hunger. This is how we can help people. The only thing we need for you to do is come up off that wealth that you're hoarding. They hoard what is external. They hoard land. They hoard bodies. They hoard financial resources. They hoard information. That's why they're data obsessed. They're hoarding everything, and then they want to tell you to vote. Oh, you can affect changes if you vote. When one person, one human, one could change poverty and transform poverty in a blink of an eye, could transform education in a blink of an eye, can transform the medical system in the blink of an eye, could end all wars in the blink of an eye, and they want to tell you that there's not enough. Give you this idea that there's scarcity. You need to be competing with everybody when literally one human could give everybody the world enough for the next 7 generations. So that's the spell. So we have to turn away from that and turn within to our own internal knowing. Like when you look at my social media, that's what you can see. But my in real life experiences, the in real life people that I have around me are golden. I'm so wealthy. And you would never know that wealth if you only focused on what my external imagery is showing you. Because those in real life experiences are so priceless to me. I don't even show them on social media. Like my daughter, she's so powerful to me that that's not my main thing that I'm throwing in the algorithm. My family, my inner circle, my relationship with God, the spirituality that I have, the world that I'm trying to reimagine and recreate, I don't even show that because it's so much bigger. It's priceless. It's like I want to hold that and protect it. I want to protect what you can't see because I know that that is the true currency and that is the true wealth and that is the true magic. And that is more than enough, not enough. It is more than enough to liberate myself, to liberate my family and my community. So don't let anybody tell you that you are powerless right now. Don't let anyone tell you that we live in a scarce universe. Don't let anybody force you to believe that we are losing. Don't let anybody take your hope away from you. Is it difficult? Yes, but that's where we have to call on the forces that, again, you can't see. Because when you're relying on your physical eyes, they will always, always fail you. How many times can you look back into your life when you swore with your physical eyes that this was something, that this person had done you wrong, that you had a whole story made up only to find out you were wrong, that what you thought you were looking at and what was really going on wasn't real. It's not real, y'all. Half the shit they're showing you is not real. The more you feed into it, it shoots back out at you and it keeps you in that loop and it keeps you in that cycle and it wears down your frequency and it wears down your emotional body and it wears down your parasympathetic nervous system and it wears down your immunity to fight sickness and it keeps you isolated, hopeless. That's the spell. So break out of it. And you break out of it by saying, no, I understand who I am. I understand my contribution. I'm bringing it forth every day. I'm surrounded by my ancestors, my spirit guides. I'm in real life community. I'm redefining, rebuilding, reimagining, resisting, reforming in every way possible with my choices. And I'm going to give you all the challenge today. You want to change the world? Stop consuming. Stop shopping. We got a big holidays coming up. We got Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. I challenge you to see how less you can consume during these times. There are businesses, multi-million-dollar corporations that literally make the majority of their wealth for the whole year during this season. I had the blessing, and I'm so grateful that I was able to live during the Occupy Wall Street movement. And I was able to live in Oakland, California during that time. And that imprint, even though it was destroyed, Occupy, and that's why they destroyed Occupy, because Occupy was the first movement that wasn't about race. It wasn't about gender. It wasn't about which political party you were from. It was about the 1%. It was about billionaires. But what I witnessed in Oakland, because we had a very strong Occupy movement, was in one day, people came together because they changed what? Their mind and said, another world is possible. It was like the tipping point. The tipping point happened and everybody realized, wait, if we want to educate our children, we can just come down to downtown Oakland and we can build a community school. We have plenty of educators. We have people that know things. And so they built a community school. They said, wait a minute. We know health practitioners. We know acupuncturists. We know Western medical physicians. We have doctors. And so in one day, without any money, they came together and they said, we're going to create a medical clinic. Then they said, hey, we have all these homeless. We can actually house people and create temporary structures and give people a place to live. And so people were sheltered. Then they said, you know what? There's all this food that gets thrown away. There's all these people who want to donate. And so every day, food, so much food that we couldn't even eat all of the food was coming in, that musicians were coming in, dancers and artists, and literally an entire community was built in a matter of days, y'all. Days. It did not require a protest. It did not require a lobbying change. We, the people, came together and said, we actually, within ourselves, have everything we need. And then they said, pull your money out of the mainstream banks, unions. I literally took my money out of Wells Fargo during that time, and I've been in credit unions ever since. It's been the best decision I've ever made in my life. Banking institutions that are not just focused on wealth generation for their shareholders, but are actually engaged in supporting the people who have accounts. And we did it. We did it. And all of this was done without any money. No money. And when I tell you they came in with guns blazing, full combat gear to destroy that, they did not want that catching fire because Occupy was catching fire all over America. It was catching fire all over the world. And they were like, oh, no. We got to shut this down. We got to keep you fighting one another. We can't have you focused on the real enemy. And so even though that was destroyed, that memory still lives in my DNA. And I'm so grateful. And you might say, well, what's the point of that? Zakiya was destroyed, which makes me hopeless again. No. It was spread out. Many of you are familiar with Octavia Butler. She is a prophet, and you are familiar with her work, Parable of the Sower. All those you touch, you change. All things you change you. The only lasting truth is change. We are earth seed. And so what happened in Parable of the Sower is there was this intentional community and it got destroyed. But in its destruction, it scattered all over the world. And like the mycelium network, go look up mycelium if you don't know what that is. It is the grand primordial intelligence of the universe that interconnects all things. And you can't see it. There's a theme here. It's underground. You don't get to see the mycelium network, but it's always working. It's always at play. We've been scattered as a people. We've been scattered. And I would use the word we've been deployed because I feel very strongly that I've been deployed to exactly where I am right now. Mother Earth is deploying us. She's saying, I want you to go set up shop. I want you to go set up a station so that you can be a portal, so that you can be a hub, so that you can be an agent of change. Whether you're a resistor, whether you're a reformer, whether you're a recreator, you're a reimaginer, you've been deployed to your station. And even though you feel alone, you're part of something bigger. You're part of this grand intelligence mycelium network that can never be destroyed, that is eternal, that will never fall. It's time for us to tap into that. As my words are flowing out of my mouth right now, we're recreating the new possibility. So tap into your archetype and understand that it is sufficient because everybody plays a role. Everybody has a position. And that is what is going to lead us to the new world, to the new earth, to the victory that we want to see. All right. That's what I got for you today, shapeshifters. Until next time, I love you and keep shifting. Bye. Supreme gratitude for tuning in today, shapeshifters. Your presence is a gift and I truly appreciate you. If you're feeling like it's time for an energetic reset, I got you. Download my free Chakra Tune-Up, a transformative 7-day guide to realign your energy, harmonize with nature's rhythms, and recharge your spirit. Head on over to shapeshiftyourlife.com. That's one word, SH, the number 8, PE, shiftyourlife.com, and grab your copy today. Keep shifting.